I was on eBay the other day and I saw this PS1 Slim that had a problem that we haven't fixed here on the channel. Thought we'd go ahead, pick it up, and see what we can learn. Am I sounding more like a YouTuber yet? Alright, so this one allegedly power cycles and does not read a disc. So first, let's verify that it doesn't like to stay on. Yeah, I don't think this is anything new for us. I think this is just some capacitor work. I mean, I obviously can't see a thing. Let's try that again. And I don't even hear it try to do anything with a disc. Let me try pushing it down. Oh, check that out. Interesting. So, I'm not getting any power cycling. It isn't displaying an image because the capacitors are bad. So here's the interesting question. Since I've done this before, can I do it better now? See, the last time that we took a shot at replacing these capacitors, I didn't have surface mounted capacitors, but I got them because these things exist. I'm also pretty sure that I went and got a whole new disk drive when I didn't even need to. I think that the old optical drive would have worked. So, let's see if I'm right about that. This guy's also going to need a pretty good clean. Just kind of dirty. The warranty seal hasn't been violated on him. He's still cute. Do the screws suck? Oh my, seriously? Okay, if you've watched my other PS1 Slim repair, you know my opinions on these screws. I didn't like the way that I did this last time. So we're gonna cut a cuter incision. I know most people just peel these up. But I do what I want. Okay, there's a dead bug. There's 2 dead bug. You better hope I don't find a third. If I find a third dead bug, nothing will happen. All right, let's go ahead and free up our disk drive real quick. So on the shield we have these little rust spots, which can be caused by frass. Honestly, nothing too concerning there. But we have a bug that fell over here. One here, one here. We've got some bugs in here. Guys, I promise I am not seeking out bug-infested consoles. It just keeps happening to me. My poor wife. Okay, so you guys have had a lot of input on the way that I should be doing this, as I've repaired some other bug-infested consoles. I'm gonna try out some of your advice. We're gonna use this guy as a trial run. So I need to recap him. So the first thing I wanna do is I wanna mark which capacitors need to be replaced. So I'm gonna have to replace this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. If I want to put this in my ultrasonic cleaner, I think I need to remove every capacitor. And since they're surface mounted capacitors, they're not being reused. Do I have enough replacement capacitors to do that? Probably not. You know, and I also ran into a thing. What am I doing with that? I also ran into this thing on a Game Boy. The last video for me. For you guys, I'm starting to think this may not be your next video. And I was wondering if that's also a capacitor. Looking here at the memory ports too, you can kind of see that this dude has been in an infested environment. We're gonna start cleaning. This isn't nearly, just to be very clear, I know it may not be picked up as well on camera as it is in person. Between the bug-infested Wii and the bug-infested GameCube that I've done, this is not nearly as infested. In fact, these 5 bugs are the 6 bugs are the only bugs I see. And I don't see a bunch of frass. These are different bugs than what was in the GameCube and the Wii. Those, I think, were German cockroaches. And, okay, 7 bugs. Anyways, those were a different type of cockroach. And there was frass just everywhere. This is not anywhere near that. What is this? I hope future Matthew remembers that past Matthew is doing this.
Nope, the past future Matthew did not remember.
Present Matthew really wants to know if there's any bugs under here and wants to make sure that we get a really, really good clean. Next, I need to figure out what I want to clean, how I want to clean. Let's see what's going on underneath this metal shield. Not much. Oh, let's say soda. Yeah. This is gunky, but people have done worse things to me in my life. Bath time for this stuff. Tons of Dawn dish soap. I'm gonna let it soak for a while. We'll do some sink washing too. This will be a few hours, but you guys are gonna see like, I don't know, 30 seconds of footage. But just know, it was not 30 seconds of work.
Learning from my previous bug-infested consoles, I went ahead and I let all of this soak for several hours. Once I was happy with that, I went ahead and changed the water and then began scrubbing. The main mission here was to make sure that any debris that could be knocked off was knocked off, and that the soap explodificated. The soap destroyed bugs very good. That was the main objective. This also helps with removing the odor and just degreasing the console, which oftentimes consoles that are aged like this get really greasy because the plastic over time with UV rays gets this film and it's just not very pleasant. So that was the point of the very long soaking and the very long scrubbing. Cleaned up really, really well, especially the pads on the bottom of the console. They came out great in comparison to where we started. Kind of a weird transformation.
All right, so now we're gonna deal with the rust on this guy. There's not much. Bring you guys in real close. You can see that's basically all that we're dealing with. What I'm gonna do, oh, there's also a bit more right there. Can I get that all in frame? Wow, look at me. Guys, I'm really good at my job. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pour some vinegar on this, and we're gonna see if the vinegar is enough to get rid of the rust. So we're just gonna let that sit for a while. Once the rust has been dealt with, we'll move on to actually like refinishing the metal. It should react. It might need to sit for like hours. I don't really want to try scraping it too much, but occasionally I'll give it a little scrape and just see if anything happens. Okay, it took like an hour and a half, but managed to get the rust cleaned up. Nope, that's too much. That's more than we want. There we go. You can see that my intrusive thoughts got the better of me and we picked at it a bit. We're gonna reseal it, so I feel okay about that. I say reseal it. We're gonna go ahead and put some mineral oil on it just to protect it. And I didn't use the steel ball this time, so I don't feel so bad about that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and get this cleaned up. Now I'd like to dry this pretty dang quick, honestly. We don't wanna risk the metal rusting back, and it can rust back pretty dang quick. I mean, typically it takes a couple hours, but I don't know what goes into that. Let's not find out. Now, in my experience, this makes quite a significant mess that I'm going to spend forever cleaning up. And that is probably so much. Why did I just put so much on there? I think that is good now. I could try replating it, but it's just such a large surface area. I don't think it's worth it for that small amount of rust. I probably don't need to treat the other metals, but I'm in the neighborhood, so I may as well. Did have somebody in the comment section that mentioned just using mineral oil and one of those white pads. And I kind of listened to the guy, and then I got distracted, and you know how it goes. I didn't do what he told me to do. But today we try it. Gotta be honest with you, if I have to go on a side quest to get this done, it doesn't get done. And I don't see my scissors anywhere. Let the record show that I'm committed. Let the record show I also would not have done that if that wasn't within arm's reach. I think it'll become very apparent that this is going to do nothing. I'm wasting my time. But I'm doing exactly what he wanted me to do, and I couldn't get results the last time. Okay, it's literally working, and I'm... No, it's not. It's actually not working. Yeah, that'll do. It did improve. The vinegar definitely took longer. No doubt, no doubt, no doubt. But hear me out. The vinegar took no elbow grease in comparison, and it had a better outcome. There's only so much elbow grease I'm willing to put in when there are options that require none. So I'm gonna stick with letting the chemicals do the work for me. All right, there we go. Our metals have been treated and the rust has been cleaned off. After the GameCube and the Wii, I did order an ultrasonic cleaner. And I do think this console is a good candidate for it. But I do want to show you guys, to give you a really good sense, like this is not that dirty. We can see bits of bug on this chip right here. And if we look inside these ports, you can see a little bit of frass. But it's not that bad. I'm okay with using this in the I haven't used the ultrasonic cleaner at all, and I don't really want the first time that I use it to require me to then change the cleaning solution. So we're gonna clean it first. Just the way I normally would, because it's super clean as it is. I say super clean, it's literally got bug shit. It's as clean as one could expect, given the circumstances. I'm gonna start off by brushing them down, then I'll take a Q-tip, we'll do all that stuff. I will then decide if it makes sense to slap them in the ultrasonic cleaner when it shouldn't leave behind so much debris. So to start with, let's get a pretty firm toothbrush going. And then I'm gonna start right in these ports. They're pretty gross. And they have the pretty strong bug odor coming out of them. When I turned this to me, I could smell it. But I didn't really smell it before. Man, I hope that's getting picked up on the camera well. Just the yellow discoloration. Especially all in here. I hope it comes up. Do what I can when I edit these to try to get the color as accurate as possible. It's really hard. But these are pretty yellowed from the bug guts. I'm probably gonna wipe off all that red that I put on there. How did they get power cycling? I was so excited when I thought we were gonna get to try to repair something new. All these PS1 Slims are the same issues. What I'm really confused about is a lot of what I'm reading online says that you like really need to remove every capacitor if you want to ultrasonic clean or sink wash anything. And I'm not doing that. So I watched a video on the Restorist channel where he cleaned probably the most bug-infested console I'll ever see. This insane PS2. And Steve finally let him use the ultrasonic cleaner. And he didn't remove any capacitors. I think that's all this toothbrush is going to be good for. Still quite a bit of bug guts in here. You can see right there, that black speck. Black speck there. Some there. There's still, I mean, that's just what the camera's picking up. There's actually quite a bit that's like caught in the shadows. That's really difficult to show you guys. Caught in the Shadows made it sound so cool. Caught in the Shadows is gonna be my new band name. Anybody know when you're too old to start a band? Asking for a friend. For your teeth, what kind of toothbrush does everybody use? It's like everybody just medium? I gotta be honest, maybe I'm not cut out for this if I'm resorting to asking you guys about your dental hygiene. If you want the content to be good, go ahead and subscribe. I'll start making it good when I have one more subscriber than however many I have right now. Oh, there we go. There's a lot of bug gut right there that we just got. Yeah, I just can't get in there. There's just little bits like that that are just not gonna come out with any other method. Next thing to do is ultrasonic cleaner. I'm gonna go ahead and get it ready and I'll bring you guys back whenever it's time. Got this sort of set up. First we need to degas it for no less than 15 minutes. If I set this to 15 minutes and press degas. Oh, that's a terrible sound. Okay, so I accidentally wasn't recording when I was explaining what we're doing. So I went ahead and I made the mixture. I used distilled water. I hope I did that right. No idea. Anyways, I did 4 liters of distilled water and then I did 40 milliliters of liquid ox. Once I'd done that, I went ahead and I degassed the solution for 15 minutes. seems reasonable to me. And then went ahead and cooked all of this up to about 50 degrees Celsius, or what is that, 120 Fahrenheit. Once that'd been done, chuck this in there, let it run for 2 minutes. We've just finished our cycle, and now we can see how we're looking. The water is so clean that I'm thinking we can get away with running it again, but importantly, yeah, the bug stuff that was in there is now gone. I'm gonna run it this direction as well because I really want to get whatever's inside these ports out too. So we're gonna run it for another 2 minutes, and then I think we're done. After that, we'll rinse it off. It's gonna take a long time to dry. I'm gonna do everything I can to speed that process up, but it's still probably gonna be drying overnight. Get his lid back on him. Run him for another 2 minutes, and I'll show you guys what we're left with in just a bit. So now, I can turn this off. It recommends taking out the basket before doing anything else, so I guess we can do that. As long as I don't spill this, that's all that really matters to me. Okay, done with this for tonight. Although he's probably gonna get a whole lot of use over the next couple weeks. You guys are gonna like what we have coming up. Now that we've rinsed it off, I want to start the drying process, which is just going to take so long. Okay, I think I'm going to have to dump this water out to actually get anywhere. Now we take our fry basket. This will catch the water as it comes off.
I just kind of went through this for like 15, 20 minutes doing cycles with this dryer over and over. I also used just cans of condensed air, but I was a little concerned that the moisture in those might cause me issues. So I opted to stick with this for as long as possible. But eventually it was kind of at the end of its life and it was time to move on and try something different. It did a pretty good job though of just blowing the water off so that I could move on to different methods to finish drying.
Okay, I think this thing's about dead. And I also just think it's got as much as it's gonna get. I know this might look dry, but it is not. All I can really do at this point is isopropyl alcohol.
I spent about another 10 to 15 minutes going back and forth with the isopropyl alcohol and drying this off as best as I could, just making sure that I got all the crevices in there. The purpose was to get the isopropyl alcohol to wash out any of the other liquid, because the alcohol will dry quickly, but the other liquid could take ages. So I just want to make sure that this is as displaced as I can get it, so that it can then be as dry as I can get it. Also, there was just a little bit of residue that was left behind, and I didn't really want that there, and the alcohol did a good job at getting rid of that.
Alrighty, I think I've done all I'm gonna do for tonight. We're gonna let this sit overnight. It's like 80 something degrees in my office, so honestly, it'll probably be just fine. It's the next morning. I feel like it's been long enough that this should be dry enough for me to continue working on it. We're still gonna go ahead and hit it with some more air later, but I do want to go ahead and deal with the capacitors now. These two capacitors regularly go bad, and they control video output. So the video looking all wonky when we originally tested this, likely caused by these two guys right here. In addition to that, this one controls the sound output, I'm pretty sure. Don't fact check that. While it's probably fine, I didn't check the sound, but while it's probably fine, may as well just replace it. I'm in the neighborhood anyways, and this thing's big and bulky and it'll be in the way while I'm trying to work on these two. Now that leaves us this guy. This guy is a likely culprit whenever it won't read games. Now I didn't actually test if it would read a game, but in my experience, when these go bad, this has also gone bad. So we'll just go ahead and replace all 4 of those. Now I could do a full recap, but in the sake of time, I'm not going to. I have a couple different capacitors that might work there. So you have to make sure that you have the same storage capacity. So in this case, it's 220 microfarads, doing the same thing. However, the voltage doesn't have to be the same. It can be higher. It just cannot be lower. Well, the lowest I have that works right here, this is a 100 microfarad 6 volt capacitor. I have, actually it's like 6.3, but don't worry about that. I have a 10 volt, but the 10 volt is so much smaller, I'm worried that it may not be able to get contact on the pads. So I've also got a 16 volt set off to the side that's got a wider base that I might use instead. Kind of finicky, we'll see what happens there. The way that I normally do this is I apply heat to one of the pads, just kind of shove my soldering iron in there. It lifts up a little bit, then I go to the other one, and we just go back and forth forever. And it's really sketchy, and I'm worried that I'm gonna rip a pad off the board. Well, I learned that instead, you can just twist them right off using some pliers. And what'll happen is the legs will break off from the capacitors. And that apparently puts a lot less tension on the pads of the board. So I did that on a Game Boy recently and it worked out fine. So we're gonna continue to do that and see how our luck goes. Where that capacitor was, all this yellow gunk, that's leakage. So that capacitor was definitely bad. Let's find out on these two as well. So that one, it looks like it just pulled the leg straight out of the solder, which is interesting. Still left one of the legs behind though. And again, we've got that yellow residue indicating it's been leaking. It actually kind of smells like fish as well. So when you're working with these, if you don't want to remove them, because once you remove them, like that's it, you're not going to be able to use them again. So if you don't want to, you can kind of smell them and see if they smell like fish, and if they do, then you know. I've never really been able to smell it that strong. And it's not like capacitors are an expensive component to replace. You can see this guy's also leaked. Now let's go to the last one that is likely bad, and he leaked as well. So first I just want to get these legs out. Well, the solder just melts, but these tweezers and myself are not getting along. It's not uncommon for solder to just not work right whenever it gets some of the gunk in there from the capacitors, so I typically clean this up and apply new solder in this situation. So now we're going to take a moment and clean this up, because it'll be a whole lot harder to get down there later. We are going to tin the pads. In order to do that, I'm just going to put down a little bit of fresh flux. And then I'm going to use leaded solder just to make sure that this goes as smooth as possible. Okay, I think that's good.
I'll just voice over this bit since you already know it's coming. We just did it once, we're going to do it 2 more times. I am curious though, do you guys prefer the voiceovers explaining what I'm doing or the live commentary? I typically try to stay away from the live commentary because sometimes I get confused and have no idea what I'm actually doing. And also the fan is really loud in the background, but I'd rather not like get rosin fumes all over my entire existence, so we're gonna keep it on. But let me know what you guys think, and let me know what you're thinking of the repair.
I think that's gonna have to do. I just don't think I'm gonna get there any better than that. Definitely made a little bit of a mess, seeing as the capacitors just have touches of solder on them, but the rest of the board looks fine, so I call it a win. While the board is still hot, I'm gonna go ahead and clean it up with some isopropyl alcohol.
Same thing as before. I won't bore you guys with all the details. I wicked it, cleaned it, fluxed it, tinned it, tacked it, adjusted it, and then admired it.
And I think that is good. Leaded solder is so much easier to work with, that's insane. I'm gonna start reassembling just to make some space, but we still have to clean up the disk drive. Also, I don't know if I like showcased how dirty the pads were before, but look at how nice those cleaned up. Now let's see if these capacitors worked out for us. No, too tall. I mean, maybe it'll still reassemble. All right, so let's set this off to the side so that we can start working on our optical drive. Now, I don't feel good about the idea of chucking this in the ultrasonic cleaner, so we're not gonna do that. But I am gonna take some isopropyl alcohol and get in here. So first I'm just gonna drop some in these gears, okay? And then I'm gonna move this laser. Am I? There we go. Wow. Wow. This thing is like pretty seized up. Yeah, there's a little bit of roach bits right there. Yeah, and there's the smell. We found him. Okay, so since this has had an infestation, I'm not really cool with reusing the lube that's in here because that lube has touched some bug. We're not going to deal with that. Instead, I'm going to go ahead and give everything in here a thorough wipe, but also just replace the lube. There is an obscene amount of lube in this. I think that's all we're going to get there. So I'm going to say the tracks are cleaned. The gears are as clean as I can get them. See, the thing is they didn't make this to be disassembled. Like, it really doesn't come apart. There's not much I can do here. And then it's time to go ahead and add some lube in there. Okay. So now when I do that, push this down. And pull. Beautiful. Oh, yeah. I think we can work with this. Yeah. I think we can get away with it. Cool. Well, now we just get him hooked up for testing. And let's see what happens. I hear the laser make a noise. Cool. And then let's try Pro Skater 3. It's spinning the disc. Cool. Well, there you have it. That's about as easy as it gets. I'm pretty happy with this. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you'd like to see more like it, consider subscribing. And I'll see you guys in the next video.